Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fight fans from around the world, welcome to the Ring Boys, your ultimate destination for all things UFC. Strap in, folks, because this isn't going to be your average podcast. It's not just about the fights. It's about the stories, the rivalries, our perspective, and obviously the incredible journey that all these warriors go through in the cage. We got fighting in the blue corner.
Artie, what's going on?
My man Artie, welcome. Nice to have you here. Give us a brief intro. Why do you love the UFC? What made you want to start the podcast?
Just did combat sports growing up, and being an immigrant from a different country, it's always very fun to watch and cheer on people from your homeland and compete on a worldwide stage. So always gets me excited about the UFC.
What a time to be alive for representing the homeland. And fighting in the red corner, we got my main man Doc. Doc, how we doing?
How's it going, everyone? Excited to be here. You want my story too?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Let's give it to you. So, yeah, originally I was never really into combat sports. I didn't grow up doing combat sports. I started off watching some boxing. My favorite fighter there, Vasily Lomachenko, was putting on some masterful performances. And slowly after I saw his footwork, I was like, wow, this really is art. And I understood why it's called martial arts. And I started watching some more MMA, maybe like 2017, 2016. That's when I started, and those are obviously the times of Conor McGregor getting some hype. I was never a big fan of his, but I did really like how Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was fought. I really liked the Russian Sambo style of fighting. The wrestling, and it really turned out to be art. So kept on following it. Now it's basically watch every single card, watch every single fight, watch other organizations. That's what it is.
Russian Sambo over Jiu-Jitsu. Hot takes. I love it already. Your host, Alex. Similar to Doc, I'm not like really big into fighting. Haven't really done any Krav Maga or anything growing up. I had an older brother, so obviously he was wailing on me, and I had to take care of myself. And I got into the UFC watching with him, so we would always, fight on the couch. And I finally got him in a chokehold, and that day was the greatest day of my life. He'll obviously say that never happened, but it was incredible. So, just a little backstory here for the people watching. I think it was a phone call between Artie and I when we were watching the fights, and we were probably talking about an hour after a pay-per-view or a fight night. And he's looking at me funny right now. And he was like, cool. So when are we starting our UFC podcast? And I was like, dude, that's a great idea. And then I was like, what would we call it? And we didn't know the name at all.
It's a process.
Yeah. I saw Doc over the summer, and we were talking about UFC. So I was like, why don't we do it with Doc as well? So what happened to be a 2-hour FaceTime call between Artie and I? We're going through AI, Bard, ChatGPT, just trying to find and whittle through like corny podcast names. I finally had a eureka, that's so Raven moment. And I looked at Artie in the eyes. I was like, I got it. And he was like, what? And I was like, the Ring Boys. And he looked at me, and he had the biggest smile on his face, and we knew that we wanted to make a podcast. So that's why we're here. So yeah, I mean, overall, this is just going to be for now, with our schedules lining up, just a monthly, main pay-per-view podcast where we focus on just the big cards, the UFC 295, which we have coming up this weekend, which we'll get into, 296, 297, 298, and 299, I think have been announced up to that point. 300, obviously, the big hype. So we're recording this the 30th anniversary of the UFC. So what a better time to start the podcast. Happy 30th birthday, UFC.
That's right.
So just, we're going to do a pre-show, which we're doing now and sending to you live. This is kind of like episode 0, episode 1, part 1. I don't know what we're going to call this. You'll probably see it in the YouTube title or wherever you're getting your podcast. And we're just going to, maybe do some live streams on Twitch or whatever platform we decide to go with, where we don't show the fights, don't play any audio, but you just see us and hang out with us. We'll give some commentary. Hopefully Dana doesn't get upset with us doing that. And then obviously we'll do a post show and release that on Monday. So that's potentially 3 episodes coming to you guys live. So with that being said, I mean, another story we got to get into. I feel like Doc, you and I got to talk about the 294 story. Not to, not to toot our own horn, but man, what a weekend! We'll get into it. So I think it was like the first week of September, second week of September. I called Doc. I'm like, dude, you got a new place. I got to come by. We got to watch some fights. He's like, yeah, let's pick a card. And we somehow landed on 294. What a roller coaster of emotions. I think there was two or three cancellations? Two cancellations, right?
I mean, yeah, everybody dropping off the last second. Uncle Dana saving the day. And yeah,
Dana
it was going to happen
in.
regardless, even if they didn't bring out those fights, even if Volk backed down from Islam, but we made it happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, the card got so much better after Dana sprinkled a little bit of salt and pepper on it with the Volk and Kamaru. That was like, I think for a lot of people watching it and people who were seeing it happen, like just checking social media and stuff, that was huge, because who didn't want to see Khamzat Chimaev
absolutely
fight somebody in the in the top 5, even though it wasn't Paulo Costa, which everybody else wanted to because of the beef that's been going on for so long.
But, yeah, they're definitely gonna have to run that fight.
Fireworks.
Well, then Kamaru almost got out. I remember Alex calls me. I was like, "Hey, I'm at work, but like this is urgent, I guess." He calls me. He's like, "Did you see the news? See the news?"
Sending him Twitter DMs, everything. Like, dude, he said something about his knee.
I called Doc like a kid on Christmas, and I'm like, "Did you see it?" And he's like, "Dude, is this an emergency?" I'm like, "Yes, it's an emergency."
Like, I'm taking care of a patient. Like, chill.
So a week before I hop on the flight, I have a 6 a.m. flight like that Friday morning. I get there. Doc's obviously busy at work. I'm just chilling, and we get some dinner. We're catching up. Haven't seen each other in a while. I think since over the summer we saw each other, and morning of the card, we placed this incredible parlay, which we like to call the Dagestani Gucci flip flop parlay. No big deal. And I think the play was $200 with the payout of $1,225 on 8 fighters. And so our Doc and I start watching the fights in the morning. We haven't even had breakfast at this point. I'm on the couch just watching Shara. And then I think it was
right, because it was in Dubai, so it started early.
Yeah. It was 10 a.m. The early prelims started,
That's
and
right.
we were going out to grab like an early brunch at a venue where they had like they had a main like platform where they had a stage and a huge screen, and just plenty of bars and places to get food, and just overall we were just so honed in on the fights that we didn't even think about going to get drinks or food at this point. So we sit down. The main screen, mind you, is having technical difficulties the entire time they're showing like Ohio State playing Penn State. Like, I haven't cared about Penn State since Saquon left. And I'm just like, dude, what's going on? He's like, look, they're putting it on that small TV. And I'm like squinting, and I'm just like who's fighting right now? And it was just like, I don't know, I think it was Muhammad Makayev. I forget what fight it was.
Well, it was funny because like no one was even watching the football game. All the tables were all filled. Everybody had their phone out.
Yeah,
we're
just going insane. We're just going insane. I'm like, what is going on? Why are they not showing the fights? They have a huge flyer outside saying, "Come at 2 p.m. Enjoy the fight card." So I think finally, like, they get it on the big screen, and it's like Saeed versus Gafurov. And Saeed obviously wins that by submission. Crazy first round finish. We move along to Ikram. Ikram, KOs Worley in the second round. And then we get to just what is just madness of a light heavyweight matchup in Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker, where the ref is from Abu Dhabi. Magomed's straight out of Russia. Johnny Walker is from Brazil. They barely each speak a lick in English.
No one speaks English. No.
Magomed decides to throw an illegal knee. Johnny Walker just doesn't know where he's at for 3 seconds. The ref's like, "Hey, confirm where you're at." Johnny Walker says, "I'm in the desert, bro. Like, let's go." And just like pushes the ref to the side. And I'm just sitting there like, what does this happen for the parlay? Like, this is a DQ. Magomed just ruined it.
And the sound wasn't even on, so we had no idea.
Some DJs playing Halloween music 2 weeks earlier than Halloween than we need. Yeah, and
Johnny
I'm just sitting there.
That, Johnny said after, like in the post fight, he said that he was in Abu Dhabi, and the ref asked him again, and he said, "I'm in the desert." So he said it twice.
Yeah. And after that correction, they have to settle down because Johnny's just trying to go back at Magomed, and everyone doesn't know what's going on in the venue we're at because no commentary is playing. And I'm just like, the parlay's dead. I just lost $200. Like this is it. And they go to grab
at that point, we probably had the first five of our eight or whatever.
We were 5 for 8 at that point with Saeed,
the first five,
Ikram. I don't want to run through the card, but
Shara Bullet.
Shara Bullet goes crazy. Victoria Dudkova with her controversy, which we'll not talk about. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, that's it. Lost $200. All right, whatever. Like we still got a great card for the last co-main event and main event, and they just don't raise their hands. And I look at Doc. I'm like, no contest. He's like, no contest. It gets scratched. I stand up. I'm like dancing like a little kid. And then we obviously get to the co-main where Kamaru Usman fights Khamzat Chimaev on
what a fight.
I'd pay $80 just to watch that fight again. If that that was absurd. Reports of Khamzat potentially, was it a sprain in his right hand or a broken right hand?
Wrist, yeah.
First round, and no one knew why he wasn't striking, but he just wrestled him.
That at one point was like undisputed welterweight, like hadn't lost in forever.
Yeah. And crazy. Wins the first round, loses the second round, wins on a controversial third round win, and just wins on decision. Parlay is 7 for 7 going into the main event. I'm like, okay, the last time I watched Islam Volk fight, it went 5 rounds. Islam maybe Volk robbed, to teach their own, but that head kick won me $1,000. The trip paid for itself, and it was just insane. I think that was card of the year for me. What a time to be alive.
It wasn't so. It was crazy because the last fight, I'm not kidding you. Every time I watch Islam, I'm like a little bit nervous. But their first fight, since it went all 5 rounds and it was so close, when it was going into decision, I had to stand up out of my chair. I was like in the back of the room, like looking across. I'm like, what's gonna happen? I don't know. And then there was definitely something different about this fight, and maybe because it was in Abu Dhabi and everybody was backing most of the folks from like Dagestan and stuff, but there was something different. And when that head kick happened, I don't think I've been that hyped in so long. It was absolutely insane.
Were you running around the room?
No, but I was screaming a little bit, but yeah.
Where were you watching it? Were you just watching it from your normal setup?
I was home, yeah, because I was supposed to go to my buddy's house, and he actually went to Penn State, so he was watching a Penn State Ohio State.
Oh, great!
So I said, "Listen, man, I'm not sharing TVs. I gotta watch this on a big screen. I gotta have it right in front of me." So I stayed home. I paid for the pay-per-view. I watched it, and yeah,
sweet. And then the rest is history. I think I FaceTimed you at one point, and I was just like, Gucci flip-flops, just going crazy. Oh, it was a fun time.
I think there was like a few FaceTimes. The first one was probably after the no contest.
Yes.
Where
yeah.
And then at the end, and man.
Which I don't remember if you answered.
I didn't answer the one after because I was going absolutely crazy.
Yeah, like Doc said, the whole venue was just being so loud, covered in music. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, Artie, tell me what's going on right now, please. Yeah.
What I did know is Volk was out. That was clear as day. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yep. Man, what a card.
Yeah, so I mean, this card's gonna have to follow suit,
Before we bring up 295, did you guys watch the fight night of Almeida Lewis? I know, Doc, you fell asleep at one point, didn't you?
No, I had to get up early the next day, so I watched the early bits.
I did. It was.
You did?
Listen, man, like I feel like when you're fighting Derek Lewis, you gotta let like sparks fly just a little bit. But that was the most boring thing I've watched in such a long time, and I tweeted back a couple of MMA accounts, and then I got like
some haters.
This guy like full of Portuguese in my replies telling me that I need to go watch Glory instead of watching UFC because we get wrestling, and it's like I get it, and it was obviously like Almeida like dominated the fight, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Derek Lewis after that one. Like, you gotta throw up something, but I guess Almeida's just that much of a force.
I
I
think it
mean,
was
we
21
all
minutes.
remember Derek Lewis against Volkov. You know, there Volkov had him up until whatever the last 10 seconds. You let Derek Lewis get one punch out. That's it. There's
Exactly.
always a chance with him. So people are scared of him, and rightfully so. But what's crazy to me is how little Almeida weighs. He's fighting at heavyweight. He doesn't even come close to like the heavyweight limit. I feel like if he dropped down to light heavyweight, this would be. I feel like that if he can do it, that would be his real weight class. Because I can only imagine what someone like Pavlovich or whatever, some of these like bigger boys that are more well rounded than Derek Lewis. Even though he did have that great fight right before, um, or he busted out the flying knee.
Yeah.
So yeah, Almeida, total control, total domination. Maybe not the most fun to watch, but it is
No,
dominating.
20,
And he
21
definitely
minutes of
has more
control
than
time.
more than just that. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And every time I watch Derek Lewis get wrestled, I always gotta think back to the tweet from 2017 where he said, "Jiu-jitsu isn't real, just stand up and walk
Just
away."
stand up, bro. Just stand up.
And he doesn't do it.
I'd get
yeah,
that literally on a plaque and hang it up in my room if I could. That's a great quote.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so great card there. I lost $100 thanks to Nicholas Dalby. We won't talk about that, but
Hey, that hey,
that's
some
how you
people some
want to
people
lose money, though.
some people say that it was an easy call to say Dolby had that in the
There we
bag,
go.
but
Yeah, yeah. You in the group chat before I put in the parlay. Thanks.
I mean many times. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that is true.
I will
I
say,
think
I will say, sorry, just one more thing from that card. It really sucked that we didn't get to see our Armenian fight. Trozian getting a little bit sick in the back room right before his fight. Really sad. He's an up and comer, and hopefully they reschedule that bout. Hopefully coming up soon,
yeah,
because that would have been a banger of a fight.
Did they say what
against
it
Kaio, right?
was?
What's up?
Did they say what it was? Because I know they said sick. I
I
wonder if it was just recovery from the weight cut, trying to rehydrate
Yeah,
and stuff, but
I don't know the cause. I just heard he was thrown up in the bathroom, and you
Ugh.
want these fighters at 100%, and I don't think it was a cop out. Some people are like, "Oh, this is nerves." Like, no, he's fought a bunch in the UFC. It's not nerves. I had him winning that fight, so we'll see. But they got to run that back, and the
yeah.
Armenians are coming up. Uh, we did have the Dagestani parlay, but the Armenian parlay minus Edmund Shukbazian. There's a chance for that in the future.
Dagestani Gucci flip flop parlay, just to correct you. Uh, yeah, no, that was like 21 minutes of control time on that main event. I was watching it while I was out with some friends. My stream kept failing, and I was like, yeah, I've seen enough. I think I can just watch this somewhere else tomorrow. Um, so yes, that's mostly the action and the intro story that we've had before. We invented the Ring Boys and why we wanted to come together and what we've missed. So let's get into what we're
Let's
up and
do it.
coming on. So
All right.
UFC 295.
I'm gonna
November
share my
11th,
screen.
10 p.m. Eastern, live from MSG. And what an arena, man! Like so many great fighters have fought at MSG. Just perfect platform. You have the cancellations from John Jones and Stipe, and Sergey Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall step in. Man, I think that should be a main event in its own. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
like known to love the co-main more than the main for like the whole year, but boy, we'll break down the whole card before we get into that one. So what we're gonna do is just break down each card. Go through the early prelims to main card. We're all going to make a prediction on each fighter, whether you know him or don't. We're going to keep score, keep track, and probably not the end of this year, but every 3 to 6 months we'll do a forfeit. Maybe someone has to do something on the podcast or change their Twitter photo. We'll get into it. So yeah, Artie, take it away.
All right. So for the first fight on the early prelims, we've got Dennis Bazookia fighting Jamal Emmers at featherweight. Um, Dennis is 5'9", 146. He weighed in at 146 and a half. He's got a 70.5 inch reach, and he's fighting Jamal Emmers, who is 5'10". He missed weight. He weighed in at 153. He's got a 74-inch reach. So I think I will go ahead and say I'm pretty sure everybody who's missed weight in the last few like cards, like fight nights, whatever it might be, I think they've won. And
Yeah, I
I
was gonna
wouldn't
say.
be surprised. Like, that's a big advantage, I feel like, especially because, everybody always says those last 4 pounds are always the hardest. And, the commentators always give them crap for missing weight. But, like, that's a big deal. I feel like he
As
missed
they
it by a
should.
lot.
As they
Yeah,
should.
exactly.
Yeah, I got Jamal too on this one. I think, obviously missing weight. I think he was 154. He was a pound over while I was watching the weigh-in show, but he walked out and the whole crowd just started booing him. And I was like, oh boy, this man's on a mission. But yeah, I got Jamal locked in on this one, minus 270. And then Bazookia is plus 220 on this card. So I think Jamal's a lock for me. Doc?
Yeah, for me, both these guys, I can't say I know too much about them. I think it's good to focus in on if they made weight, didn't make weight. He's got the reach advantage. That's been huge lately. The leg kicks have become a big deal these last few years. He's got the leg advantage too. I'll take Emmers, but I wouldn't be surprised, especially for someone that's trying to get into the limelight. Dana doesn't like people missing weight, so he better put on a performance. Sometimes if it's not even a knockout, you could see this guy cut in the future if he doesn't make weight next fight. So he's on the chopping block. I think he's got a lot more to lose than Dennis over here. We'll see.
All right. Moving on to the
Jamal
next
Jamal
one.
Jamal loses and gets cut tomorrow. Boy, that'll be a viral clip for Doc.
The Raw
Yeah, I
still
mean,
has to count.
honestly, like even he can win. Who was that? We were watching that comeback against that first Indian MMA fighter.
Jubilee and Mike Breeden, was it?
Yeah, and he like came back, right? We thought he was gonna lose. He comes back, starts chatting up the guy, and knocks him on. Then he gets cut. What is that?
Gets let go.
That man, Mike
His
Breeden.
whole his whole eyebrow was like hanging off his head.
It
And he
was
came
gone.
back
It was
and knocked
gone.
him out in the third round. That was the most
And there
disgusting
was
thing
no
I've ever seen.
question. We were watching that together, right? I was telling you, I
Yeah,
was like, man, he's gonna come back. He has so much more energy. This guy's like a walking zombie. It's all about the mental
yeah.
game at this point, and man. All right.
Jubilee looked
Anyway,
good in
back
the
to this.
first two, but yeah, go ahead.
Back to 295. We've got Joshua Van fighting Kevin Borjas at flyweight. Joshua's 8-1. He's 5'5", weighed in at 138. He's got a 65-inch reach. And Kevin's at 9-1. 5'5" as well. He weighed in at 140 pounds. And he's got a 68-inch reach. Once again, I think the reach advantage thing is getting to be pretty big, but they look like they're pretty even, got same exact record. Kevin's obviously in his debut, and looks like Joshua coming off a win. So uh, I'll let you go first, Dirk. Pick your
Well,
pick.
because I have the lines, he wants me to go first. I'm going Joshua Van minus 238.
Yeah, for me again, two guys I honestly I don't know too well, but interesting to note. I don't know if there's anybody else fighting out of Myanmar in the UFC. There are a few Peruvian fighters, but it'd
Yeah.
be nice to see some more Asian representation in the UFC, especially from these countries that have like long standing fight histories. So I'll be tuning into this fight. We'll see. Hopefully I'll know more for the next time they show out. Again, with these lesser names, I just go with who Vegas picks as the favorite. But we'll see.
Vegas odds takes the spread. So who are you taking, just to confirm?
Oh, oh. You asking Doc or you asking me?
Both.
I'm gonna be the contrarian. I'm taking Kevin.
Van. Okay. We'll see it.
Doc's taking Van.
So
Why not? Let's go with the guy
Yeah.
in his debut. You know, he wouldn't be on the card if it wasn't for a reason.
Yeah. We'll see.
Sparks fly. First underdog selection here by Artie. All right, moving along.
And then we got John Castaneda. Say his name again, Dirk. You had it.
Me?
Yeah.
I'll just call him Ho Kong.
Okay.
Ho
John
Kong, right?
Castaneda is 20-6. He's 5'6". He's weighed in at 152 pounds. He's got a 71-inch reach, and he's fighting Ho Kong. He's 19-9. He's 5'9", weighed in 155, and he's got a 73-inch reach.
I can start with this one. I'm excited for this fight.
Oh boy.
Battle of the mustaches. 2, it's gonna be a banger. I'm taking Kyung Ho Kang here. You know, he is a striker. He has a chin. He he packs a punch. Castaneda, you know, representing America. Like to root for the hometown, but I think Kyung Ho Kang, he's one of the people I'm excited about coming out of South Korea. And I don't know if it's going to be a knockout, but I do expect a lot of offense from him. I don't expect him to be taken down. And this is one to watch. You know, oftentimes these early prelims, regular prelims on these cards, people are trying to make a name for themselves. I can see a knockout here potentially, just because they have so much to gain from a nice performance. So this will be the first underdog that I pick. I'm shocked to see that he's the underdog here. But Kyung Ho Kang is my pick.
Yeah, I agree with you, Doc. Kyung Ho Kang, I've seen him fight a few times, so I'm here for it. Every single fight I've watched him go through has been an absolute banger. Like you said, he's in there to strike. He's in there to fight. He's always in somebody's face, so I'm here for it.
Boys, the best things always come on the fly, and my best ideas always come when my back's against the wall and when I'm in the shower, but we'll leave that out of there. But I'm going to call this a ringer. All three of us agree on an underdog, on a lock. Kyung Ho Kang, plus 110 versus John Castaneda. And I believe, you know, you reach, I teach. He's got the reach. He's got the height. He's coming off hot. John's going to have a real plan if he wants to take him down or make it to the decision or even think about winning this one. So all three of us see eye to eye. Let's move along here.
Reach and height advantage is, I think, going to be big at 155. So
you reach, I teach.
We've got Jared Gordon, OG, fighting Mark Madsen at lightweight. Jared Gordon is 19-6 with 1 no contest. He's 5'9". He weighed in at 173. He's got a 68-inch reach. He's fighting Mark Madsen, who's 12-1. He's 5'8". He's at 155 pounds, and he's got a 72-inch reach.
Want me to start here too? I'll just do
it.
So here we go. I got Mark Madsen. I wish he had the ages up here. Mark Madsen, I think he's like 38 or something like that. You know, versus a veteran in Jared Gordon, but Mark Madsen's definitely the older guy. Usually the older guys at this point in their career usually start dropping off, but I don't know. He's a wrestler. He's going to take Jared Gordon down. It might not be the most exciting fight, but I think the ground game that Mark Madsen's going to have might be too much for Jared Gordon. And he's a pretty steep underdog here as well. But he's got the technique. He is aging, which is a big issue. But you know, he's put on some really good performances lately, and I think he's going to put on some more really good performances. And Jared Gordon, you know, he's had some competition. I believe Patty was the last fight that I saw him fight. He won that fight, but I think Mark Madsen. Whatever the outcome was, like Jared Gordon won that fight. But I think Madsen's another level on top of Patty, and Jared's not going to be able to get up. That's my guess, unless if the cardio is no longer there for Madsen. I think this is the odds here. To me, it makes sense to take Madsen.
Mark Madsen, a whopping 39 years old at plus 180. So
that
was off by a year.
Does anyone know what's with the weight discrepancy, or is this just the website that messed up?
It's the UFC website. I mean, they never have the odds. They never have anything.
Okay.
That's not the official
The
weight.
first episode, we're taking a dig at the UFC, but like we're taking a dig at the UFC on the
Fix
first
your
episode. What
website.
else is new?
Fix your
Yeah,
website.
please do.
Yeah, this is
Artie, go ahead.
lightweight, so whatever.
I think Mark Madsen. Jared Gordon, like obviously an OG. He had that fight versus Patty where he lost the decision, which in my opinion, he should have won. But I don't think Patty's a very good fighter to begin with, and so going against Mark Madsen, like obviously like an OG. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go with you as well, Doc. Mark Madsen.
Can't
Yeah,
agree.
and I think Madsen's even getting better, like that's what the crazy thing is. There's some of these fighters that kind of show up in the UFC late, like they're already over the age of 30, and like they just keep getting better, keep perfecting the craft. I think he's one of them. What do you think, Alex?
Can't agree. Just can't agree. You fight Patty the Batty, and on that controversial no contest. I mean, come on now. I'm taking Jared Gordon. I got him at 170 minus 175 at time of recording. It's minus 198 on bestfightodds.com source. But I'm taking Jared Gordon. I couldn't disagree more. I like him. I think I put him part of my personal 4-leg parlay for the card, but I just can't see Mark Madsen, finishing Jared Gordon. I got Gordon by decision. I'll even say
By decision.
by decision. I'll have my first hot take of the pod.
I could see
Huh.
it. Old dudes duking it out, probably
That's normally what happens. Yeah,
big
I
pillow
just think
fight.
he's gonna be on the ground. I like, unless if I'm missing something with Jared Gordon's ground game, Mark Madsen's a wrestling machine. So hey, we'll see. We'll see.
that we will. That we will.
All right, moving on to the next one, and we get into the prelims. So we're gonna start with Nazim Sadikov fighting Vyacheslav Borshev. Nazim is 9-1. He's 5'10". He weighed in at 169 pounds. He's got a 69-inch reach, and he's fighting Vyacheslav, who is 7-3. He's 5'11". He's 167 pounds, and the reach was at 69. So I'll start. I think Nazim wins this one. I don't know if you guys have seen Nazim fight, but he is. I think he's an up cover. Like we're gonna have to watch out for his name coming up on the next fight. So
Noted. Doc.
Yeah, I'm taking my boy Slava here too.
Baby.
Have you seen his dancing skills? You know what he does is he kicks you in the face, and then he dances on top of your body. Sadikov, he faced Terrence McKinney last, and I think he won in the second round. He almost got like knocked out, and like that's the thing that Terrence McKinney. I mean, he's a first round machine. If he had a little bit more in him that first round, Sadikov, that would have been loss number 2. But obviously, it did get to the second round, and Sadikov completely turned the tables. But Borshev, his kicking ability, his footwork. The issue will be if Sadikov decides to wrestle, which I think he will, and just like seeing the defense from Slava. But I do appreciate Sadikov being up and coming. I think he might be a little bit too early in his career to keep on moving up, but we'll see. Borshev, I believe I've seen 2 of his fights in the UFC. He maybe had more, but that kicking is next level. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm taking Slava here. He's had 4 fights in the UFC, 2-2 on that UFC contract that he's currently on. Slava, man, opening at a plus 125, plus 105 when I took him, versus Nazim's minus 120. I just see Slava taking him to church per se. I mean, old versus new, 29 years old versus 31 years old, a little bit more experience. But I do agree with Artie. I think we definitely got to keep our eye on Nazim, especially if he wins. I'll come on and I'll say I was wrong. I mean, he beat Terrence McKinney. That's more than enough for me, but I just love Slava too much. I can't see him lose.
all right, move on to the next one. We got Mateusz Rebecki fighting
Oh boy.
Roosevelt Roberts. Mateusz is 18-1. He's 5'7". He weighed in at 171. He's got a 66-inch reach. He's fighting Roosevelt Roberts, who's 12'4", won no contest. He's 6'2". He's at 173 pounds. He's got a 73-inch reach.
Can I just start by I'm gonna just openly full out and say this. Why is this on the card? You know, Roosevelt Roberts misses weight for one. What's Rebecca's? I think minus 650 favorite. Like, come on, this is MSG. This is where we want to see all the good fights. You know what I mean? Not saying that either of these fighters are good or bad, but why? I don't think we need to have a discussion. It's Rebecca lock.
Yeah, I think this is Roberts' last fight in the UFC. To be fair, I think his knockout getting KO'd by Bahamundez back in the day. That's a highlight reel knockout. You know, he was given a few more chances after that. You know,
Yeah.
he's so tall, so that's what you think, that like the reach advantage there, but he's not winning this fight, and there's gonna be too many losses. He'll be cut after this. I wish we could put odds on him getting cut, but it's happening.
Yeah, I gotta agree with the boys. I'm going with Mateos, Poland. You know, it's what's gonna happen.
Another ringer. We all agree.
Exactly. All right, going on to the next one. We got Tabatha. Is it Ricky or Richie?
I've heard both. I've heard Ricky. I think it's Ricci.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll figure that out.
She's fighting Lupi Godinez. Tabitha is 9-1. She's 5'1", 121 pounds, 61-inch reach. And Lupi is 11-3, 5'2", 125 pounds, 61-inch reach. I think this one is fireworks. Like just for like the women's fights, this is going to be pretty good. They're both very good fighters. Both coming off a win. Both have quite a bit of hype around them to be like in the women's strawweight division. So I think this will be a good one.
Just to correct the overall pronunciation, I think it's Reese or Reese. To our Brazilian haters who are already tweeting our account, don't take it out on us. We're just trying to figure this out as we go. Yeah, I got Tabitha plus 150, Lupi Godinez minus 180. I got Lupi Godinez going into this. I think this is going to be a really, really good fight. I think it's very under the radar because the Dern and Andrade card fight is also on this card. Not many people are looking out, but I think this one could surprise a lot of people as well.
Yeah, this one, honestly, haven't seen Tabitha. I'm going to avoid the last name just to make sure that we get the name right. But haven't seen too many of her fights. Lupi Godinez, the fighting spirit in Mexico, great boxing. No, I'm going to take her. Well, probably the distance, but we may see a knockout. She really does pack a punch in, and hopefully we see that. But again, I haven't really seen how Tabitha fights, so it's hard to be for certain there.
Reese was looking good after the weight cut. Like at the weigh-in, she looked very energetic, very ready to go. I think that's a good bet under the radar. I just can't make it.
Well, I'm the contrarian again. I think
boy,
Baby Shark all the way, baby. To go with Tabitha. I don't think this one goes to decision. I think there will be either a knockout submission, probably in the second round, but I'm going Baby Shark all the way. All right.
We'll see.
Go to the next one. Looks like this would be the last fight at the prelims. We got Steve Urseg fighting Alessandro Costa. Steve is 10-1. He's 5'8", 125 pounds with a 68-inch reach. He'll be fighting Alessandro, who's 13-3. He's 5'4", 126 pounds with 67-inch reach. Fighting at flyweight.
I mean, I can start here. Costa's fun to watch. Can't say much about Urseg, but Costa's fun to watch. I hope he wins. I'm going to be taking Costa here.
Wow.
Again, hard to. I haven't seen Urseg fight, so we'll see. What are the odds there?
We got Alessandro Costa plus 170 at time of recording versus Steve's minus 205.
Yeah, it would be hard again to bet on this if I haven't seen Usyk, but I'm gonna look him up a little bit more today to see his fights. But I have seen Costa fight, and that guy's a maniac. Some of these flyweights are fun.
Yeah.
A lot of submissions, just a lot of action, endless gas tank. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think Costa's a good shout here. I just see it opposite. I'm going with Steve minus 205. Yeah, we were having a discussion earlier that these lines are pretty accurate. I mean, we'll have a couple crazy ones, but I think, just from overall picks so far, I got to go Steve.
Gonna agree with Dirk. Going with Steve. I think especially in these like lower weight classes, especially something like flyweight, where you got a 4-inch height advantage. When you're wrestling, that makes I think a pretty big difference, just because that means your legs probably a lot longer, your torso is a lot longer. So going with Steve on this one, because I'm sure they're going to be wrestling for quite a bit of the match. So,
I mean, with a name like Astro Boy, you got to come in and back it up. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. All right, moving on to the main card.
I'm not going to say that because it's copyright, but let's get ready to discuss this.
We've got Diego Lopez versus Pat Sabatini. Diego is 22-6. He's 5'11". He's 161 pounds, 72.5-inch reach. Pat Sabatini is 18-4. He's 5'8", weighing at 145 pounds. He's got a 70-inch reach. And I gotta say, outside of like obviously the main and the co-main, I'm very excited for this. Diego Lopez, I think he's gonna be a big name in the UFC come time, because his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like, I think, unmatched in that division. He is really, really good. So I'm picking him. I'll just say it. We'll start it right there. I'm picking him, Diego, all the way.
Couldn't agree more. I've seen Diego fight before, and this man is just insane. What does his tat say on his chest? It's like, I forget what it said. It said something believe, but if you have that on your chest, you got to back it up. Like,
baby.
My man has the slick
Dream,
sideways
believe, achieve.
Edgar.
Yeah.
The slick sideways Edgar at plus 102. Diego Lopez, I think, is a pretty good shout. Pat Sabatini, good fighter. No disrespect to him, but Diego's going to steal the show. I think this has it out to be potential fight of the night. Not saying it's going to be, but potential.
Yeah, Diego's a good striker, and he's got, like I said, probably the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in that weight division. Especially, he's coaching some of the women's fighters. He's really putting time into it. So, like I said, gonna be a big name to watch for come time. So.
Yeah,
Doc.
He also has that height advantage, but I will say I've been a non-believer in Pat Sabatini too many times to not take him on this fight. So he always proves me wrong. We're not going to make it a 3 for 3 here. Pat Sabatini representing America, American wrestling, and we'll see how he does if he's got to protect against the submissions. But he's done so so far when I've bet against him. So. We'll see.
All right. We'll go to the next one. We got Matt Steamroller Frivola fighting Benoit Saint Denis. Matt Frivola is 11-3. He's 5'9". He's got a 71-inch reach. Benoit is 12-1. He's 5'11". He has a 73-inch reach. I think this is another pretty hype fight. I've seen both a lot from both of them, especially Matt Frivola. He's pretty active on social media. He's always throwing out his opinions and doing whatnot. But for Benoit, I think he's been on pretty much every French card that we've seen so far, and he's really good. I think he is very technical, and I think there might be. I think he's just a smarter fighter than Matt Frivola, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with Benoit Saint Denis on this one.
God of War for a reason, folks. Benoit Saint Denis is 12-1 for a reason. We got a typical wrestler versus a mixed martial artist. Benoit Saint Denis, easiest pick of the card for me. I mean, the guy is just, he's 27. He's going to be around for a while, I hope. One of my favorite up-and-comer fighters. This one's going to be a really good fight, too.
I agree.
Doc?
Yeah, I'm taking BSD here as well. Really complete fighter. Has a chin. Man, Matt Frivola can punch, but Benoit Saint Denis has a chin. And we saw that his last fight. The only thing I'm concerned about, if he gets into the later rounds, his gas tank has been questioned in my mind. He does get tired. And if that wrestling fails, he does seem a bit lost. But I'm sure he's worked on that since the last fight. BSD, I'm going to take him here. Chin and wrestling, and he'll get it done.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched the weigh-in ceremony and the face-offs as well, but I think they agree to like no wrestling. They're gonna be on the feet striking the whole time because there was a
thank
handshake at the
God.
end. So I'm looking forward to this one.
I saw Matt like squat down and try to intimidate him. Benoit was just looking at him like, "What are you doing, bro? Stand up!" Like we're in New York. Come on now.
Yeah, I'll say this: Frivola to me is famous because he got knocked out by Terrence McKinney in whatever, like 15 seconds or 8 seconds or 7 seconds or whatever it was. You get cracked once like that, your chin is never the same. Benoit Saint Denis has not had that happen. His chin held up so much during that last fight. I don't know how he does it, but if this is going to be a stand-up, then Benoit Saint Denis is taking it. He's going to take him to the ground, though. Like, there's no way. Pride. We'll see, but he'll take him to the ground and then start beating him down, and he'll end it.
I will say
that Terrence won't go the distance.
That Terrence knockout was 2 years ago, but he's on a 3-win streak. I hope that just for the overall perspective of the fans, I hope to see a better fighter who's confident and ready to go against BSD, because this one could be get your popcorn ready, folks. That's all.
I'm just saying you get hit like that once, and you're never the same.
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough.
You're never the same.
Fair enough. We'll see. I guess we'll see tomorrow night, huh?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good fight. I'm looking forward to that one. All right. Next, we've got 2 Brazilian fighters. Jessica Andrade. She's 24-12. She's 5'1". And she's got a 62-inch reach. Fighting Mackenzie Dern. She's 13-3, 5'4", and she's got a 63-inch reach. Fighting in the women's strawweight division.
I can start first just to provide, the background that hopefully everyone knows about. Mackenzie Dern fighting a ton of personal issues right now in life, going through a divorce, through, multiple different things. Getting hit with those lawsuits is not fun. She even came out and on an interview said that this whole fight check, or most of this fight check, is going to her ex. So, I mean, just horrible situation to be in. You never want to hear that. And then on the other side, Jessica Andrade, I mean, on a 3-fight losing streak, I believe, and this is her 4th fight of the year. I mean, as much as she's ready to prove a point and get back to it, I mean, I can't see Jessica win this. Mackenzie's motive is far greater than Jessica's. As great as Andrade is a fighter, I got Dern at -230, or sorry, -205.
Yeah, I'm also going to be going with Dern on this one. There was a time. Andrade was the one that knocked out Rose, right?
Yes.
And dropped her on her head. At that point, I thought there was like she's never gonna lose again. But something's changed. I don't think her head's really in it as much anymore. And Dern is up and coming. Dern has a lot to fight for. Dern's getting close to fighting for the belt. So I think she's going to continue on that streak, and we'll see how she does. She looked fantastic her last time out. So I think that's going to continue.
What a turnaround story that would be.
I agree. Yeah, I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern as well. But I do think that just like the other women's fight, I think this one will be pretty good as well. So I'm glad this is on the main card and the 2 good fighters, and should be good to watch. All right. And now,
if we're not all on the same page about these two, we could spend an hour going back and forth on how great these fights are and how we started a podcast for a reason, and I hope we see eye to eye on this. I mean, crazy cancellation. You got Sergey Pavlovich. My argument, the scariest fighter in the UFC right now. And just he was getting ready, gearing up to fight John Jones, Stipe, potentially someone else for how long? 2 weeks to a month. So he's in camp. You got Tom Aspinall on the other side, who's coming off a torn ACL from a year or two ago. But man, this is going to be a really, really good fight. I mean, each fighter normally KOs in the first round. I think Tom's seen the second round only a handful of times, and they each have the second or the fastest UFC fight time at like 2-something minutes. So I mean, this is going to be insane. I don't see Tom Aspinall turning around and taking this fight on a however many day notice. If we take a look at Volk, look how that went. It didn't go great. I know they're two different fighters, two different divisions, but generally speaking, taking a fight short, not a great idea, especially against the scary man. So I got Sergey at the time of this. When I was looking at it, he was an underdog for whatever reason, but they fixed the lines, and this is a straight pick 'em. I got Sergey Pavlovich -102 versus Tom Aspinall -118 at time of recording. I'll just start with that.
I mean,
go ahead, Doc.
You want to go?
No, you go ahead.
All right, I'll hit it. I mean, this is going to be an exciting fight.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, the entire time we were talking, we were watching, like, what are you talking about? Pavlovich is the underdog here. Like, there's no way. Like, Aspinall is fast, but did you see what Pavlovich did to Curtis Blades? Curtis Blades, like, all-American wrestler, tried to wrestle him like twice, didn't get the takedown. Aspinall's like, not going to get the takedown here. Pavlovich touches you once, and it's over. And he's not like a guy that gasses out. He will keep on throwing. I think this is Aspinall's biggest competition. Pavlovich is the real deal. Pavlovich is going to be the heavyweight champ. I don't know if he's going to get to fight John Jones, but regardless, he's the real deal. Well, I don't know how he's going to. I think he's going to knock him out. I don't think he's going to try to wrestle him. He could wrestle Tom Aspinall to the ground too. Very complete fighter. Shocked that he was an underdog. Is an underdog. I don't get it. Tom Aspinall is fast. Tom Aspinall has movement, but I don't see any way that Tom Aspinall gets through Pavlovich. It's not going to be through wrestling. I don't think the striking is fast, but it's not the same type of power. And I'm sure Pavlovich can take a punch. He hasn't had to prove it yet, but he is a beast, absolute beast. Pavlovich is taking this.
In addition to that, I mean, 84 reach. He has 6 inches on reach on him and a 1 inch on the leg. Not that really matters, but I mean, I've heard him say in interviews through the UFC embedded in all the videos that Sergey says he prepares for 5 rounds, but he doesn't need to. You know what I mean? It's going to be a first, second, third. But I do think the longer that this goes, the more in Tom's favor it is. But I just
Probably.
don't. I don't see Sergey losing. I don't see Sergey losing.
The worst possible outcome here would be something that like happened to Tom Aspinall against Blades getting injured. If any of these guys get injured during the fight, that'll be terrible because this is going to be a banger. This is going to be no one is not a snooze fest. They're going to be throwing nonstop. They both have a point to prove. This 100%. This is going to be the fight of the card.
I agree. Yeah, listen, I'm going to say this. I don't know if you guys know, but Sergey used to train with Khabib. He used to do wrestling like that. Like, this guy is for sure a complete fighter. And I don't know if you guys watched the face-off between these two. I know the height is different on the UFC website, but Sergey actually looks taller than Tom when they did face off. And I don't know if they were wearing shoes, what might have been, but I don't see Sergey losing this fight. It would be absolutely insane. I don't think Tom is on the same exact level as Sergey. Sergey is probably the most complete fighter in the heavyweight division, outside of John Jones, obviously, the GOAT. But still, I think Sergey wins this. That's what it's going to be.
And also, like, this is the heaviest Tom has ever been. He's deflecting it, shaking it off in interviews, whatnot. Yeah, obviously, we know the hand speed on him, but it takes a toll on you when you're, on a short notice and not cutting that weight and just ready to go. Sergey's been preparing for 3-4 fighters. I mean, come on, let's get it going. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think this will be, out of all the fighters he had to prepare for, like, obviously he was the backup. Like, Tom Aspinall, he's a striker. I don't know, like, that he will do much more than that in this fight. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a banger. I think Sergey comes out on top. I agree with you guys.
Before we move on, I just looked at courtesy of DraftKings, the odds for if it goes the distance. Over on 4.5 is plus 600. The under on 4.5 is minus 2,500. So if this goes the distance, then it would be an absolute snooze fest. But there's no shot it does.
No way.
Yeah, these guys come out to fight. It's not going to be the snooze fest.
Now, right. Pavlovich to me, sorry, just one more point here. I want to see John Jones versus Pavlovich. That's two complete fighters. But I want to see John Jones 5 years ago at heavyweight against Pavlovich right now. John Jones getting up in the age. I really want to see him fight at this weight against some more people other than Cyril. But Pavlovich, John Jones, way more appeal to me than Ngannou. This is the most complete heavyweight fighter that I've seen. I think if it was him against Stipe, he'd knock Stipe out. This guy is the real deal.
Yeah, and ever since he lost Alistar over him, he's been on a tear. He's been ready to go. First round KOs. He's on a streak. It's the biggest in the UFC potentially. And as great as a story, we talk about the difference in diversity in the UFC we want to see. Tom Aspinall, if he wins, he's the third English champion behind Leon and Bisping. Is that right?
Yeah, and he'd be the first heavyweight from England. So
that'd be a great story. But how great of a story would it be if Sergey comes in, Stipe retires, and Sergey versus John Jones for the belt? I'm buying that pay-per-view 3 times.
I honestly don't know if John Jones would even take the fight.
Here we go. Here's when he circles back and does the John Jones is the GOAT. And we're gonna spend an hour on this one day on a pod. I already know. We'll have a New Year's special episode. Tease the crowd for right now.
All right. Moving on. Alex Pereira versus Jiri.
This one's personal for Artie. I'm gonna let him take the floor.
I honestly, I don't know a way that Jiri could lose this fight. This man is on a warpath. He came to the UFC and he has done nothing but bring fireworks to every single fight. You can watch any of his highlights. He is one of the most exciting fighters at 205 pounds. And when these two come together, I think the experience from Jiri and the mental strength, he always talks about his spirit and his willingness to fight. He always shows up for war. I'm taking Jiri. This is my lock of the card. I think there has been nobody more prepared and more mentally there for a fight than Jiri is for this one. I think Jiri takes this by knockout because I think there's the relentless pressure that he'll bring to Alex is not going to be matched. Alex is used to striking, but this is completely different. Jiri has a chin like nobody else has ever seen. I think when he was fighting Glover, he was taking shots like most other people would have been knocked out. He was falling over, he was barely clinging on, but he came back, and I think it's the mental advantage that he has over other fighters at the 205-pound division. And I'm excited for this one. I got Jiri. That's my lock of the card.
I will say, Alex Pereira is the favorite at minus 125. Jiri's, the underdog on this on plus 105. So for him to go on and take a lock on an underdog on episode 1, that's what the Ring Boys is all about. That's why we're coming together. We love it. We love making these calls. I will say I agree. I do want to talk a little bit about, Botan real quick, but it's striker versus kickboxer. It's always an awkward combination. They're both very unorthodox. They both made weight. I think Jiri was hanging 205. I forget what the exact numbers are, but how did Pereira ever make middleweight? He looked so weird on the scale to me, and it's just we don't need a trilogy with Pereira and Israel Adesanya because of the kickboxing, and he's 2-1 technically if we look at the details. But I think Pereira after that Jan fight, he exposed himself a lot, and there are a lot of areas I think the samurai can come in and chop his head off. I was texting Artie I think 2 days ago, and Artie was like, "Yo, I gotta read the book of 5 Rings." And I get a notification on Spotify. It's like, "Oh, did you know that you can listen to audiobooks now?" I'm like, guess what? Now you can. He's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing this weekend. But yeah, I got Jiri. The man punches trees. The man locks himself in room. He puts eye patches on himself to do neurovisual training. He's back after a crazy shoulder injury, which people were ruling him out. I think this is his third UFC fight, potentially, or fourth. And Pereira also hasn't had too many fights, but man, these two guys are greats. And what a story it would be if Pereira wins the belt and does something where he's a double champion on so little fights. I wouldn't go on to say it's my luck of the card, but I feel comfortable. I'd put $100 on Jerry. I mean, plus 105 coming back, that record, and that steady habit that he has and the spirit. It's gonna be fun, and I'm glad Sergey and Tom are going first because that'll be over quick, hopefully, and then we can get right into it. So, Doc, how are we feeling?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Going in like a month ago, 2 months ago, I was like, yeah, Yuri's got this. But then I think more about that. Well, one, his fight against Glover, he was losing, right? He was losing to 40-year-old Glover, who is Alex Pereira's coach. So Pereira is getting taught by the guy that knows how to beat Yuri. Second thing, this shoulder, I don't know too much about this shoulder injury, but he was out for a year. This is his first time coming back. He's gonna be scared throwing that throwing a punch from that side. You can't be scared against a guy like Alex Pereira. And originally, what I thought was this is just he's gonna wrestle him down, just take away Alex Pereira's biggest weapon, which is the kickboxing. But the defense that Pereira had against what's his name, Polish guy,
Jan.
Against Jan Blachowicz. I wasn't expecting Jan not to be able to take Pereira down for like over half the fight. He's been working on this. He knew that this was a weakness, and he's been working on it. He's been working with Glover Teixeira on this, and this guy he is massive. He was massive for middleweight. He's massive for light heavyweight. I'm sure he's going to weigh way more than Yuri on fight day tomorrow. I don't know. I think it's scary picking against Pereira. We know he got knocked out by Izzy, but that fight was the two most technical strikers ever in that division. That's not Yuri. Yuri's good. Yuri's a complete fighter. He's going to lose a stand-up battle against Pereira. That's how I see it. It's going to be based on if Yuri can take him down. I don't think Yuri can take him down. I thought I was going to say Yuri was going to be the lock 2 months ago. Alex Pereira is scary man. I don't think he's the best light heavyweight. I think Jamal Hill can beat Alex Pereira, and obviously, styles make matchups. Styles make fights. And in this particular situation, I think it would have been nice to have Yuri fight somebody not as scary as Alex to test out that shoulder. We don't know what that shoulder is going to do. Similar to Derrick Rose not being the same after that ACL from Chicago, by the way. So a lot of Chicago references, but he's going to be scared to throw that shoulder, regardless of the mental training, all of that. It's going to be a great fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Pereira ends it pretty early. But we'll see. I'm taking Pereira on this one. Sorry, boys.
So
say it's your lock of the card. Say it's your lock of the card. Say it's your lock of the card because you just pissed both of us off.
No, the lock of the card. The lock of the card is Sergey Pavlovich. That's a no brainer. If either of you guys want to take that as the lock of the card, that's fine. But
I don't know. You shouted it.
But Pavlovich is my lock of the card. Pavlovich is the underdog lock. Like, he shouldn't be the underdog. Here, Pereira, it's going to be a good fight, but I see Pereira coming out on top. Yuri will get back there. He's got the ring rust.
So to what you're saying, Doc, I watched the Ariel Helwani interview. Yuri said he was ready to go after 6 months. It was his coaches that advised him to take him time because you can come back after 6 months. You can fight. he said that he'd rather take the time and know that he'd be ready to go in and not be worried about injuring himself. That's why he took the full year. So I still think with that mental fortitude, he's coming in, he's going to be firing on all cylinders. So I'm excited for this one.
We'll see it, but again, when he was firing on all cylinders, he was ready to lose to to Glover Teixeira. You know, that was a last second. Glover Teixeira could have just kept him on the ground, like not giving up his neck like that. Glover Teixeira wanted to make it more interesting, you know, and he got caught. He was losing that fight. We all know that he was losing that fight. I had money on Prohaska that fight, and I knew I lost my money, and then all of a sudden I was yelling, but. He's good. He's good. He has experience. His spinning back elbow on Dominic Reyes, that was legendary. Legendary. That was legend. I thought Reyes was coming back. You know, my opinion, Reyes beat John Jones back in the day. That was a huge robbery. But after that, Reyes wasn't the same, but he was the same when he was fighting Prochaska, and then he got clocked in the face. So we'll see if he throws more elbows, more knees. You know, I don't know how used to that Pereira is, but Pereira is a scary man. Scary man.
Artie, I got this. I'm a freeze Doc with just one quote. You ready? And this is I know this is a Chinese quote, so this might be a little controversial because it's a different war style. But my brother and I were talking about it. Shout out, my man. So he sent me a text and he said something to put on your pod. Read it to Doc because we knew he was going to be against Jerry. So what I'll bring forth is victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and seek to win. That's all I gotta say about that. That's all I gotta say.
We'll see. I like your Chinese philosophy on the podcast. That's a hopefully next episode you got some more wisdom to share here.
We're just getting started.
That's not gonna save our boy Yuri. I think Yuri will be back, but we'll see.
Hopefully this weekend he'll be back. All right. Just to reiterate, Artie, I missed your pick on Freevola versus BSD.
BSD, 100%.
Yeah, come on.
Is that my lock of the card? I got BSD. I mean, I wasn't aware he was fighting on the card, and I was like, I got to take a chance and go look at it. I saw he was on there. I didn't even look at the rest of the card. I was like, hopefully they don't pick that. I knew Artie was going to ride with Jerry. I thought Doc was going to beat me to BSD, and I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go with like Mackenzie Dern just to be safe. But we'll see. So the Ring Boys parlay for 295. The lock of the cards. We got Artie with Jerry Prohaska. We got myself, Alex, with Benoit Saint D BSD, and Arnie with my boy Doc with Sergey Pavlovich minus 102. BSD minus 230, Yuri plus 105. I think it's like I don't know. It's probably like around plus 500. I'm not going to do the math right now.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, 295, 10 p.m. EST. I think early prelims start 6 and then prelims 8. That's the first official episode of the Ring Boys that we got here. We're coming up on the time, so we're not going to be live streaming for this card. We got a couple technical difficulties we got to figure out. No more 5-hour nights with me and Artie going. But now that we got everything set up, we're looking forward to pushing this content out and going over each card and hopefully being right and building a community and getting into some fights on Twitter with random Brazilian people who hate us for no reason.
Yeah, and hopefully we call a few of these upsets. I'm telling you, this card, you were saying the lines make a lot of sense there. They're all good. For me, really some of these underdogs, I was just like, what is going on? But hey, we'll see. The 3 locks, hopefully they hit, and this will be a really good event. This will be a really good event, and Dana keeps on making these fantastic events. So shout out Dana.
Dana is just on fire right now. We'll talk about the upcoming cards on potentially Sunday or next month's pod, but oh boy, he has not missed once with substituting fighters, and I hope he keeps this up. That's my man. I'll plug Howlerhead right now for him if he wants me to. Unofficial sponsor. But yeah, that's it's episode 1, part 1, or episode 0, whatever we'll call it. Glad you guys could join us and listen in, tune in. UFC 295 again this weekend, 11/11. Please make a wish. I know Artie's wish is Jerry wins, and that's the episode, folks. We'll catch you later on Monday.
Thanks, everyone.
Later.